How's everybody doing? Big Ched's coming to you live. It's Wednesday, June 27th, 2018. I am Big Cheds. I'm joined by Big Chonis. You there, buddy?
Hey, Chad. Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I heard you just watched like a Tone Vase video, like a whole hour. You said while you're mowing the lawn. Is that true?
Yeah, I try and get a lot of perspective through the day from different people online, trading view charts, the charts themselves, lots of people on the social medias. So, there's all sorts of opportunities to learn from a lot of people online and to get other perspectives about what you think will happen.
Excellent, excellent, my friend. So I just want to remind everyone you can find him on Twitter at Big Jonas, and you can find me on Twitter at Big Cheds. I would just give us a second, folks. We're going to take care of that echo. Pardon that for just a second. We do have echo on your end, I believe, my friend.
Probably on your end, my friend.
All right. I'm going to say it's in your end, but we'll just have to keep rolling with it. In any case, folks, it's been a.
Probably on your end, my friend.
Oh, did you hear that? Did you just hear that echo? All right,
Yeah.
let's keep rolling with it. Yes. I have nothing. It's definitely on your end. 100% your end.
Are we going to do this?
I know, right? It's just kind of all right. Let's just keep rolling with it. So Bitcoin right now, we're looking at let's say a 4 hour chart. Looks to me like the Bollingers are pinching a little bit. What are you seeing?
So, my thoughts on Bitcoin right now are basically set in two stages here. We're a few days, away from the end of the month, and there's basically a kind of a level that the bulls want to kind of hold. Um, so, it's important to kind of keep a little bullish momentum as we kind of end into the end of the month, and for that to happen. Um, I think you need to have this price area basically hold. And that's really what's going on here. You really have a situation here where over the next couple days, as we finish out the month of June, um, we basically see that this sideways price action will probably continue and will probably end the month above $6,000.
Mm-hmm.
That will give the monthly candle, a nice little wick on the bottom
Okay.
and will basically allow something to happen in the early part of July. So if you're asking me, right now, am I bullish or bearish? The situation basically is we need to hold this a little bit above 6,000 for a nicer wick on the monthly, just a little bit of a wick to show that there's still some bullish movement there. But July is also going to have some sort of a wick at the bottom
Mm-hmm.
because the July candle is going to show a little bit of bullishness. These past 2 months here are pretty nasty. They're really nasty
Mm-hmm.
red candles there, on the monthly chart. And from an equilibrium standpoint, from just kind of a charting standpoint, where we're getting to that oversold, over, oversold, in terms
Overextended.
of overextended. Thank you, sir. That's the word I'm looking for because we have we see it online, the bearish sentiment. Basically, right now, a lot of people, I mean, a lot of investors have
Mm-hmm.
put a lot of money into, the alts and just gotten wrecked, caught the top, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't sell, when they were in profit. People are understanding the reason where the price impact on Bitcoin has a dramatic impact on whichever alt they're currently holding. And the declining Bitcoin price all around is having that downward pressure on the alt. So we're basically in this pattern here where we can go up a few $100s and we can retrace a few $100s. Um, and all that basically is based on getting through the end of June. So I'm looking for a little stability. Now you're showing kind of where we are in terms of the money flow, and there's a couple key points here I want to point out on the screen you have up. We have the volume. We're in the low $3 billion range here.
Wow.
This is really low, Chets. This is
Mm.
like as low as we've seen it for quite some time. Most people have never seen it this low. I remember in, February, March, we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
10, $12 billion per day of just good money flow. And in that kind of a market, there was a lot of money to be made. There was good chart setups. Low volume environments basically mean two things. There's limited amount of cash flow flowing around. There's an excess of supply, and you can have stronger manipulation moves because it doesn't take that much money, relatively speaking, to make a big green candle and or a big red candle.
So
So we're
you've made
in
that
a low
point.
volume
You've made
environment.
that point a lot before. That's a
hmm
great point. That's a great point.
hmm Yeah, and so in a low volume environment where we have Bitcoin hovering around $6,000, the bulls are trying to hold it up here. The exchanges, you could argue, are trying to hold it kind of in this price range here. Um, the summertime, in the northern hemisphere at least, is basically these times where you just have a lot of lower engagement all around. People are on vacation, they're outside, they're not in front of their desk, they're not in front of their computer, they're not actively trading as much as one would in those winter months where most people are inside. So because of that, you have kind of this confluence of low money flow times the bearish trend we've been in basically starting at the beginning of the year. And right now, Bitcoin is kind of still finding its path through the summer. It's not all gloomy, though. It's not all dire.
No.
There is hope, and there are certain circumstances happening, I believe, in July, in a few weeks from now, where the chart will have an opportunity to basically turn around, and we can kind of stop this bleeding.
Excellent. I think that was a very great. That was almost a treatise on the state of affairs. So yeah, you're making some great points, Big Chonis. And once again, just a reminder, folks, he is on Twitter at Big Chonis, and you've been doing really. Just want to point out these little videos you've been doing are pretty cool.
Thank you.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of feedback you've been getting. Hopefully, pretty good.
The people seem to like it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard to get. It's like it's topical, it's timely and it's it's cool. I like how you have to jam you 40 seconds, so it's not you can't really drone on, so to speak. So Bitcoin, I mean, clearly on the macro here for me, we lost this low here, so that's now resistance, which is that 6,500 area, but it's gonna take some a little bit more up here on the close. It's gonna be more like here. Pardon me, it's getting around 66, but I mean, it's going to take a lot to even get up there. So we're kind of seeing just a continued downtrend here in the on-balance volume. It's showing a lack of strength, Big Chonis. And we had this nice bullish harami here, but not much of a follow-up. We didn't really have too much bull follow-up here. But we did put in a second bullish harami, actually. I'll pull that up on the screen. So harami.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason for like that kind of big capitulation move right now. We've had our big green candle. We're still above it. We've definitely given back a lot of that. There was a quick flip clearly from the beginning of that green candle to just the top of it.
Wait,
basically
which
a
green
day
candle?
later.
What are you talking about? Which green candle?
Are basically big, bottom dragonfly, almost bottom hammer we had about 4 days ago. There you have there. Yeah, that has basically set in that currently higher low situation there.
I can't even see. Let me remove volume.
Yeah, you move volume.
Oh
There
wow,
it is.
sorry. You're so right. I mean, yeah, it's like a long-legged doji. You could call it a
Yeah.
hammer. I mean, you could call it dragonfly. It's a little bit. It's definitely open for interpretation, but it's undeniably, I believe, bullish, given how bulls rejected this much of lower prices, basically.
Yeah, and I don't even see on a daily on your chart there anything. I mean, there's one kind of close to it, maybe on like May 13th, 14th, but this one
Yeah.
is like a real kind of. I mean, the close is much higher up on the wick, so it can't be discounted. It can't be discounted as just part of the downtrend. There could be something there because we are currently holding a higher low. There is still something there, and a couple more days of sideways action could give us, a little more of a pump above higher. But you have to ask yourself: does the market feel that we're in kind of that value Bitcoin area where Bitcoin's cheap? I don't think we're really there yet.
I mean, there's so much despondency, and on any bounce, people are just going to sell into it. That's what you kind of keep telling me, right? We talk about it, that any bounce is sold into, right?
That seems to be kind of the thing here where, to be quite honest, day traders are just taking profit where they can get it. So if they're up 4 or 5% on a trade, even if they can leverage that, 2x, 3x, they're banking that because they know these moves are tight. And so far, at least in this little move here, every big drop has been kind of bought into and
Sold
has been
into. Oh,
slightly
you're right.
rewarded.
You're right.
Well, bought into it, but basically, if you bought the blood, you've been able to sell a bounce.
Sell the FUD. You buy the blood, sell the FUD.
Exactly. So until that ends, this slight uptrend can continue as long as we can kind of go sideways. And in reality, anything above 6,000, the bulls still have a chance. Once we start breaking 6, and 6 becomes more of a resistance area,
right?
It opens up a whole new level.
Yeah, but I mean, but right? But what is the debate? Like 5,400 or 5,600, right? So if one of those two, whatever that is the bottom, it's going to blast through 6 on the way back up. Like I don't.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but that only can occur with some sort of a capitulation moment. I feel where it's like, wow, the market's like, oh my God, we're so oversold, or look at these indicators, they're so low from a historic standpoint. History is valid, but you have to kind of open your mind up to assume, wow, maybe what I thought was oversold isn't really oversold. Maybe what I thought was super low on the 1 hour or the 4 hour, really I need to be looking at the daily and the weekly for a better understanding of where we are and potentially how low we could go.
What do you think about this interpretation right here?
So we had a discussion about the strength really of the shoulders there. Are they legit shoulders? The head's legit. I like the head, I guess. We've seen that before where the head ends in or at least the inverse head and shoulders part of the head ends in a nice green candle. We have seen that before. We've seen precedent for that before. Yes, I mean I can't dispute there's a clear inverse head and shoulders clearly showing up in the 4 hour.
But I'm not confident. I'm not confident, right? It's you can
and even if you want to say okay, maybe it is, then what are we talking about here? What's the neckline from 57?
Yeah, I don't know. You have to maybe draw it this way, or
and so let's say maybe there's $600 there, so there could be another $300 to $600. So this does correspond with a retest of maybe 6,800 if this does bounce from that kind of neckline resistance, and that basically brings us to $6,900, maybe even a firm rejection at 7,000. That's your bullish scenario. And frankly, there's no reason why that cannot play out, because in this environment, a little big money can push it to that point. If you can actually divert to some of the longs and shorts, I'm actually seeing something kind of interesting. Let's start, if you could, with the Bitcoin longs. Because it's really, I'm seeing some Bitcoin long loading, if you will. There's almost kind of this more bullishness in the Bitcoin longs.
Well, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry, my apologies. Okay, here you go. I had the wrong chart up.
So we're seeing some real strength in kind of some long contracts loading, assuming for almost kind of, maybe this is a cycle bottom, if you will, in Bitcoin. If you want to do the 4 hour, I think it tells a little bit of a story in terms of like the recent here, because we had kind of that kind of capitulation, but the kind of nasty red dump there that corresponded with our 57 low there a few days back. And now we're kind of climbing back above that. Because we're kind of getting to that resistance line there where you've drawn, it's going to be kind of a battle there between the bulls and the bears. And the bulls could have enough to push through that. And that is kind of based on my whole hypothesis about getting into July on an up note and potentially overextending the longs for one last big dump of Bitcoin and the alts and everything.
What's the catalyst? What's the catalyst? Like, what would cause that?
The catalyst is going to be a firm rejection. So
you keep saying that. Were you just like turned down for a date or something?
Story of my life, buddy. So we've kind of seen this rising pattern here. In the shorts, there was a situation where there was kind of an overextension. Perhaps the longs can do something similar. We see how the RSI is kind of rising up there. We're getting a little frothy there on the 4 hour. A couple more days of longs extending their positions could put them in a potential situation where they might be out of whack, especially if the shorts. And if you want to check out the shorts chart here, they've been selling off. They've been really kind of basically
but look
saying,
at the RSI. Look at this, though.
That's the point. So we're getting into oversold RSIs in the shorts. We're getting to slightly extended, but still some runway on the longs. So my point is this, that there'll be some volatility spikes. We've seen a couple $100 of Bitcoin move in minutes, very quickly, hours of nothing, and then minutes of fast action. So people's stop losses are probably getting taken on the up and the down. If people have a tight stop loss now, $50 move in a matter of minutes or $100 move in a minute can stop you out either way, and that is a bullish move, if you will. Even though you might get on the wrong end of that, it basically can clear the market and allow a little more of a natural price action, and that can be a bullish sign. So we still have some time here for this to kind of play out. I think we have at least several days, really, but days heading into this weekend. We will be in a situation where there's going to be kind of a decision point where is there enough money flow, is there enough bullish action to push us higher into the 6,000s, or are we saying no one's going to buy over 6,400, 6,500?
Yeah,
and we go down.
I agree. It's not clear either, right? What's going to happen? What do you think about what do you want to do? Litecoin next? What do you think about?
Yeah, let's do just a quick Litecoin and then a quick Ethereum, and then we can touch on a couple alts. Bitcoin still runs the show, so we're seeing some alts have better days than others. If Bitcoin drops 5%, but if Bitcoin rises 5%, we're also seeing other alts rise 15-20%. So we're seeing the volatility basically swing both ways on a lot of alts.
So what do you think? I'm seeing basically a wedge consolidation here.
Yeah, Litecoin has been following the Bitcoin model. It's still the little bro. It's been a little more oversold. It's had a more vicious sell-off basically than Bitcoin. The ratio has fallen precipitously more than Bitcoin's fall. Remember, Litecoin is still an alt, even though most people can buy it in USD format. As Litecoin's price gets lower, $80, the affordability of it, it's that situation where we saw the alt run, where a lot of the alts that were sub penny or just a few dollars had more of a run because people thought there was value there. So right now, Litecoin is still the cheapest coin to purchase on Coinbase, or major coin, you could say, to purchase on Coinbase. So that will in Alienbee adds some sort of support to that. The question is, when is Litecoin really cheap? $80 compared to $180, $280, $380, $420, where it had been. It's very cheap, but very cheap can still drop another $20, as the summer progresses. So I'm looking for any sign of bullish divergence, where if Bitcoin drops a little more, maybe Litecoin still drops, but it still drops less. So we had found support, and a pretty strong support, around $73. Actually happened to coincide with the middle Bollinger on the monthly. That tells me we have some stability there, and that can last for at least couple days, if not a week. So we're going to probably hold in this high 70s, low 80s area for the next couple days. I really don't see why you would have a kind of failure of this area, anytime soon. It's basically because right now a lot of people had their first entries even in Litecoin at around this area. I clearly remember at one point buying Litecoin around the $75 area, and here we are kind of back there again. So once again, Litecoin is being reintroduced to a populace at this price point where they originally bought it earlier. Now, that's not to say it's affordable. That's not to say it's cheap. That's not to say it can't go lower. Bitcoin's price action will determine that, but I'm still looking for that divergence where the bottoming of Litecoin will become more apparent as time goes on.
Okay, I pretty much agree with most of that, if not all of it. Just briefly, we're seeing clearly we have an equilibrium pattern. We have the lower high, we have the higher low, lower high. So right here, if it's forming this wedge consolidation, you're gonna, like you said, what, couple days, Big Chonis?
Yeah, there's no reason for the bulls to capitulate. So I agree with all that. We're in the tight range, 83, 79, somewhere in that range there. You might have a few wicks above
Mm-hmm.
that might not close
Yeah,
above,
candle close. I drew this with the candle close. I
and
mean,
that's
it's
huge
only
because
two
this
trend
is
points. There's only two trend points, so it's also not
right.
like
But
you
because you're
know.
on the 4 hour, that's a good point. So
Yeah.
we might test the upper Bollinger on the 4 hour,
Mm-hmm.
but if we can't close above, then the move might be just showing that there isn't enough room to push any higher than that. So the candle close, especially the 4 hour, tells a much more stronger story than the 1 hour can.
Yeah, Ethereum's pretty oversold. This just broke. I mean, it's basically having trouble holding its lows here,
Hmm.
and it's continuing. You see multiple rejection points at the middle Bollinger Band. Your first one, your second long rejection, your third rejection. So clearly, any move would have to be measured against this middle Bollinger, the SMA 20 here, like if it was to bounce. And you don't know if and when it's going to bounce. You do have a tiny bit of. Do you see that tiny bit of bullish divergence?
What would you call the RSI there? Like a 3 Buddha on the daily?
Yeah, you could call it. It's more of a Three Rivers, because it's
Uh
the
huh.
same. It's the same low, or almost a rising. Actually, if you zoom in slightly
Hmm.
higher, that's a rising Three Valleys.
Mm.
Let's see. Here's Three River. That's like a triple bottom Three River, rising Three Valleys, where you have kind of a tiny bit higher.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Rising Three Valleys. I was just kind of noticing though, Big Chonis. You see, there's a little bit of bullish divergence though, with the lower high of the oscillator here, lower high in the RSI, and sorry, lower higher low rather, and a lower low. Do you see what I'm saying? The price is making lower lows.
Price goes lower, the RSI goes about a tad higher.
When we're talking about bullish divergence, we're talking about the lows. So we
Hmm.
have higher lows on the geez, let's just do that. Sorry, folks, my first show. So you have the higher low, okay, right here, boom, and there you go. So technically, there's a little bit of bullish divergence, but I'm not. I don't get carried away by this, Big Chonis, and I'm going to write an article about this in Bitcoin Live. I want to see it with the on balance volume.
Hmm.
This is still tracking with the price. This still is weak. Okay, what do you think?
I think you have to work on your penmanship, but I
Yeah.
agree that like Ethereum is being kind of attacked, and it's being attacked by EOS, being attacked by
Mm.
Tron. It's being attacked by
Mhm.
other
Mhm.
platforms that are claiming to be a better Ethereum,
Mhm.
a better Ethereum platform and community. Because of that, and because a lot of alts, a lot of ICOs are based on transferring Ethereum to these new ICO coins.
Mhm.
So it kind of has unique pressure. I see Ethereum as being like a month to a month and a half kind of behind Bitcoin in terms of its price
Mm.
action. It was the last one to parabolically top off
Mhm.
it basically topped off when the alts were kind of topping off and not when Bitcoin topped off. So right now it's relatively more bullish than Bitcoin is, but
Mm.
at some point I feel
Mm.
that this line you've drawn here will break bearish, similar to what Bitcoin's kind of doing right now. And you will see Ether clearly back in the 300 zone. And a retest of that was the 375 area there we had back in early April. So I kind of see like that's inevitable just because it's going the same route as Bitcoin did. It's just a little behind, which also
Hmm.
means that there is a bounce set up with Ether once again
Mhm.
at a certain point. I believe in the next week or two that coincides with some sort of a Bitcoin bottoming area. So we're we're all on the we're all on the hook for what Bitcoin does. Crypto itself will be on the hook for whatever Bitcoin does. There's no real diversions now in the coins, the altcoins yet. And until Bitcoin finds some sort of legit support in the price, which will probably happen in the next week or two, I believe, heading into July, we can then get some sort of stability in the market. Now, you brought up the coin market cap earlier. We are going to see Bitcoin sub 100 billion in market cap. That's been a while since we've seen that. We could see crypto as a whole flirting with the 200 billion range, and we're going to see Bitcoin dominance continue to increase as a lot of these altcoins just get liquidated. We're seeing less coins being traded in certain markets. That's unfortunately it has to happen to kind of lessen the saturation, if you will, the spreading out of money currently in crypto. Survival of the fittest has to happen in crypto for the market to basically evolve and go on its next bullish cycle. So that's kind of how I see it.
Okay, what a way to wrap up our discussion on Ethereum. I think it's a great point. I think you have to put it all in context, and I think you're right. We have to measure all of these, against Bitcoin. So that's a great point. Anything you want to cover next? You want to just check Binance here, or what are your
Yeah, we
thoughts?
can talk about a couple of some of the more volume coins, the EOSs, the Ripples. We can definitely talk about that. We're just not seeing a lot of bullish divergence in specific alts.
Hmm.
I think what we want to kind of
Which
eventually
one? Let's just pick a couple.
well, let's do EOS because
Okay.
I think you have to argue that where is the money flowing? EOS is
Hmm.
clearly still one of those coins that has really good dollar volume.
Yep. What are your thoughts on the EOS chart?
Let me pull it up here. So, short term, it is holding some supports there. It kind of feels like it's putting in some sort of a bear pennant that could basically turn into a bear flag,
Oh, what
kind
time?
of
What
right now.
what time frame? Like a
The
shorter?
daily's fine. The 4 hour might show it a little bit more there.
Okay, pennant. I
Um,
can see a pennant for sure.
yeah, I mean, it could flag if you get a couple green wicks there and kind of be a bigger,
You need to
a
have a
bigger
higher low though.
situation.
Oopsie. You got to have a higher low basically in order to
Hmm.
have that pennant. That was what the heck happened. So look, so if you want a rising wedge or even a bear flag, this would have to be a pennant.
Yeah, it's not really a rising wedge yet.
Oh, I see. You
It's
want this to be your flagpole, and then you would go this way.
Yeah, kind of, but it's more of a very tight wedge there. We're seeing equilibrium in the chart. And that's kind of that indecision now we're seeing in the market. We're just not sure if that extra money pump is going to come in. We
Hmm.
kind of get really tight here in the price action. You're on the 4 hour here. We probably have several more 4 hour candles to go
Hmm.
for this thing to really tighten up. And then we're going to see a decision in the market. Either the RSI can't get high enough, the money flow is not going to be there to push it higher. We could see another bear break. There's still nothing to show this as being bullish except
Except,
sideways action
except
can.
what else? What else though? What else you see? What else you missing that's bullish?
I mean, maybe there's a little bullish divergence to the OBV, but
Oh, you're right. You're right. It's not that much. It's a tiny bit. So yeah,
it's a tiny
you're
bit. I
pretty
mean,
much right. Yeah.
again, sideways. I think Bitcoin
Yeah.
is the deal right now with sideways too, and that's fine in the sense that equilibriums are kind of basically be met, and Bollinger Bands need to tighten.
Hmm.
We're a big fan of watching the tightening Bollinger Band for a signal of volatility.
That sounds kinky.
And if it, but what we keep seeing is kind of this slight dip followed by the rip.
Hmm. Hmm.
Dip and rip. We've kind of
Hmm.
seen that play out in several chart circumstances here, and we
Hmm.
kind of keep seeing where you feel, oh, it's about to collapse, and no, it's actually a great scoop up opportunity
Hmm.
for a nice little candle. But these candles don't last too long because they keep being sold into because traders are just looking for profit wherever they can get it.
Hmm. Well, where are you looking for profit?
All the wrong
Mm.
places.
EOS. So yeah, we both kind of agreed it's bearish. EOS. What about ONT? I think I posted a chart in this earlier.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, here we go. Uh, hmm. It's trying to bounce here. It's got this higher low, but clearly it's running into some trouble right at this level here, right? You've got all this action here.
Hmm.
So that's gonna be tough for it. Yeah, look at that, right? Boom. See that level right there? So that was a key break when it broke this level. You see that was the support, and then when it broke it, it came back. It became resistance. So that's the biggest problem this has right now. If it can break it, that's a big bull signal for me. If we can break and hold this level, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this chart. It looks really
Mm-hmm.
bullish right now. I kind of see like we're setting up for a bull break on this. The
Mm-hmm.
Bollingers are still a little wide in the 4 hour, so I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be surprised with several more hours of some sideways. Yep, we could even break that line there and still kind of suck out some stops and then go higher. But for right now, the price was kind of keep pounding at that resistance line until probably it's going to break it
It might be.
on the up.
You could, I guess, argue it's ascending triangle reversal, which is kind of weird, but
Hmm.
normally it's a bullish continuation pattern. But I think it's for me, it's an easy play because you've got this clear level here. There's a very clear level of significance because
Yeah, and the wicks show it. It just can't get higher than that yet.
yeah, or hold above, right?
Hmm.
You had all that. You had what, 4 or 5 shots at it. Oh, this is when Binance was down right here.
Oh, is that gap? I'd see
Yeah.
that in a couple candles, and I didn't get
Hmm.
what it was. And
Yeah.
now, oh,
It was
okay.
weird because I remember looking at it was like TRX or something. It was like whatever it was at, and then I think I like woke up and it was the same price. I didn't understand how it's possible. Like, what the heck's going on?
Well, that's not very helpful for a marketplace to go down. And
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
is one of the fears that there's so many marketplaces out there, and a lot of these are kind of built on what twigs and baling wire. So it is possible that the failure of an exchange or two
Hmm.
could send ripples through the community, and
Mm.
a
Hmm.
blood in the street scenario could happen. And you could
Mm.
argue a blood in the street scenario could be a great buying opportunity at the same way.
Weren't we talking about that earlier? Were you saying that that some of these exchanges, like maybe don't have enough funds to back essentially what they're claiming they do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to add FUD, but there's a lot of possibilities for a lot of exchanges that basically say, oh, you have all these coins, you have some Sia coin and some Tron and some Verge and some this, and it shows in your wallet that these coins are there, and
Hmm.
you have a couple Bitcoin, and but if you want to transfer your Bitcoin to another wallet,
Hmm.
that's going to work, and then one day it doesn't work, or one day the exchange claims they've been hacked and someone stole all their money, and woe is me. And unfortunately there's no FDIC for crypto yet, so a couple of these moments can cause market fluctuations, and we're basically seeing right now that the moves in Bitcoin are also being news driven right now, much more so than they had been. Whether it's SEC news, whether it's Mt. Gox news, the Tether news recently.
Hmm.
These news stories pumped by CNBC and other outlets
Hmm.
seem to be driving some price action.
Let's do some. Let's do a couple requests. Let's see. Is Linda? Everyone keeps mentioning Linda. Is that thing even available to chart yet?
I traded
No.
you.
Why do people keep mentioning Linda? It's like been months, and I'm like, or am I have the wrong screen up? Linda, cryptocurrency. Nope, still no good. Yeah, it's been months. People are asking for Linda. It still cannot be charted. Sorry about that.
But Gothstein says it's like the next big thing. What are you talking
Maybe
about?
it will be. I don't know.
Okay. All right. All right.
I have no info either way, my friend. To DGB, Digibyte. That had a nice move earlier. Remember that?
Hmm.
I think I posted a chart on it. DGB, Digibyte. This is for boiling point mechanical. So, oh, look at that, huh? That's just gorgeous. This is what I mean. This is like what you're dreaming about when you're right here, when you're in the midst of this. This is what you're dreaming about right here, right, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I wouldn't even call this a V bottom. I call this a rocket ship bottom. The way the RSI reacted on the 4 hour,
Mm-hmm.
the way the stock RSI shot up there,
Mm-hmm.
the way you really had a capitulation followed by a mega bounce continuation.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, we probably bounced off a fib level, looks probably like the 786, area there, from our bottoming area there. I mean, these are areas where an oversold, so many daily candles of red. How many dailies in a row of red
Mm.
were there before we had a really good wick on a daily
Mm-hmm.
that has set up these past several days
Mm.
of a bullish move there? It's a very nice move.
We also have the two bullish engulfing candles here.
Hmm.
We had the bullish engulfing here, and then really small range. I don't know if that's an inside bar. No, it wasn't. The wick went higher. But then
Mm.
this is just pretty. This is today. That just happened. It's pretty good. It's already running here, and it's only been an hour.
Yeah, I mean, the daily says let's test the middle Bollinger, and see how it goes.
I mean, 4 hours kind of nuts.
Yeah, we're
It's
above we're really above that, aren't we?
but the volume, I don't really see warning signs of this volume yet. This candle just started, but I
No,
don't.
but it kind of hits some resistance, and look at the RSI, the
Well,
4 hour. We're just about to hit 70 there.
this
That's going to be
is
something.
this actually is. There's a pattern here. This is called advance block.
Mm.
Advance block right there. That's advance block.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like it's also it's similar to a stalling pattern. It's like a 3 candle combo.
Yeah.
But you could, but then it's already been invalidated because you've already broken. Did you break the high? It's a tweezer top actually.
Yeah, but
High 390
you're
tweezer
only
top. Yes, confirming the advance block. Look, rejected so far. Rejected at 390. This is a very easy. This is a very interesting chart. Easy to watch. I think.
true, but you're only 53 minutes into this 4 hours.
It's true.
So
Right.
for now, you're right.
Yeah, but
But
fair.
and you always tell me wait till the candle close for
Yeah.
confirmation.
Yeah, that's a good point. The only reason I'm putting a little more emphasis, and you are making a great point, is that it was stopped at that exact point.
Mm-hmm.
So that's as notable to me.
But isn't a tweeter top only added after an uptrend?
Yes, but this is an uptrend. This is a big move here from 3 to 384. I mean, this is a pretty good trend, especially when you're talking about after this many candles in a row. I mean, it's an uptrend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But here, you're right. Look at this. We could break through right now, and that would be significant. Let's do BNB for Faye Binder. What have you watched BNB? Look at this. It's kind of flattening out. Oh, it doesn't want to. Bulls do not want to give up this level, my friend. Right? The bulls are trying to defend this level at all costs. Right? Higher lows.
Uh-huh.
What do you think?
I mean, this one had such a huge runner the past couple days there, past couple of weeks. This is one of those kind of exchange coins. I think we're kind of clearly seeing this top off where we have, especially on the daily, we just have 1, 2, a dip, another try out again, and wick. This one's tired. We're seeing declining RSI. We're seeing declining stock. We're basically seeing exhaustion here after a really nice run pretty much since its inception on Binance. I mean, this thing has been a beast from, sub 400 Satoshi to 24,000 Satoshi, through the past year. So this is a very similar chart to almost Ethereum and how it had its crazy run as well. So, and in that, we saw Ethereum then go several thousand% from that.
Well,
so,
what about BNB? What are we doing now? What are we going to hold this support? I mean, that's what I want to know here and now, right? What are you seeing?
So,
what's your feeling here?
I'm seeing that on the RSI, we are on the daily RSI, we are right at a support area that we are holding. So I think if we can hold, if basically it's still bullish anything over like 19,000. If we start breaking 19,000, there's going to be a bigger correction from it.
Is it that this high here? Should it be like 20,090 maybe? Like this peak, perhaps, I think would be.
I'd go lower. I'd go like 18. No, I'd go like 19 even, because on the daily, I'll give it a little bit more.
Here, this peak maybe right there.
Yeah, that feels a little bit more stable than the previous one.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you want to bounce off that if it tests that level.
Yeah, and, it wouldn't take much. I mean, we've seen 10% moves in a day, 15% moves in a day. So, it could definitely hit that in a day's worth of price action, if there was a big move in Bitcoin as well. So, again, this is one of those diversion coins, whereas Bitcoin is kind of crappy. This is one where money has continued to be made on the upside.
Cool. There's only a couple more in the chat. We can probably do all of them. ADA.
Yeah, let's do like 2 or 3 more there. ADA's, I keep watching a lot of the coins that are still, some of the higher market caps. What are some of your top 20 market cap coins? And this is one that I think nobody realized how low it's going, how low it can go. It's trying so hard to hold 2,000, hold 2,000, hold 2,000. We bottomed here back in the end of March, beginning of April, had a nice bounce. You know, we were able to get back to 4,000. Nice 100% move. You know, I'm not going to argue with that. Now we literally came back to the beginning. So we're at a point now where a little bounce is possible, a little hump is possible. But if we start breaking 2,000, you know, this had a parabolic move. This can come significantly lower on its correction.
I agree. I am just noting here do have a series of two bullish haramis in a row, and we do have almost like an RSI double bottom, and you're having some bullish divergence. I actually like this chart because you look at this. You have just kind of chronic oversold. You have almost like a secular oversold kind of, and you're already getting a tiny bit of bullish divergence here with the higher low. Would you have a pair of bullish harami? I actually like this chart, Big Jonas.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue it's a slight W bottom on the RSI. You know, if we get
Sure.
some more fall through, that could be confirmed. I mean, we're oversold on the daily. When you're sub 30 on the RSI, you know, anything is possible. You know, from a standpoint of value of risk versus reward, there's no reason why scooping up some ADA at this point, you know, probably won't wreck you. But you have to keep expectations in check. You know, there's a lot of ADA out there. This is one of those high supply coins as well. So where the actual dollar amount could be pennies, there's a reason for that.
Do we see? I'm just trying to see if we had a similar setup here, like a bounce failure. Look when the RSI was oversold here. It was pretty similar, right? Almost like a double bottom, but you didn't have the divergence in the OBV, although it's kind of mild. But even if you do say it's 1-to-1, you have to be cautious because you did go 31 down to look at that, geez, 17. So I mean, this could
you were in that low sub 30s RSI for quite a while there. So there's no
right here,
reason why
right here,
we can't be here for a week or so more while we kind of find a bottom.
I'm just reading some tea leaves. I guess it's just the haramis here. This is kind of a classic pattern where you're seeing kind of bears are starting to rethink their position. And that's kind of what these candles are suggesting. Let's do one or two more, like you said. So that ADA, that was for Gary Greenhorn. You're welcome. And Daksesh Patel, Stradivarius. They make guitars, right?
He did make violins at some point.
What do you think here? Look, that's a nice, decent candle yesterday. Kind of a hammer. What do you think?
Kind of similar to Ada's chart, just we're very low RSI. We're flattening out RSI, which is kind of interesting there. We've had several days holding in this price zone, which is interesting there. The long wick suggests there are buyers that want to hold this market here. Volume is steady as well. I remember this coin. It had a nice move at the beginning of the year. I'm pretty sure it's been around for some time as well. So again, we see these areas here where from a chart standpoint, you could argue, oh, this might be kind of that loading-ish zone area there. The consistent volume also is encouraging. You want to keep looking for that. You don't want to be stuck in a low volume coin, especially if you have a high stake in it.
I have a high stake in everything I do. Let's see here. What do you think about? You want to just pick one, or you want to?
Are you the Skype trap? Is that?
Yeah, let's see. What do we got over here?
Ed or
Ned?
Ned?
Ned good.
All right, let's do Ethereum Classic and then wrap it up with Bitcoin. What do you say?
Yeah, definitely. We have Victor Rocha.
Yeah.
Asking for ETC. Let's see here. All right.
I just want to say before we get into the actual TA part of ETC, I mean, we have to acknowledge that it will be added to Coinbase Pro. We have to call it Coinbase Pro now. At some point in probably this summer, at least basically maybe by September. It's going to be a moment because Litecoin, as we talked about, is currently the cheapest one you can purchase on Coinbase. It's sub $100, and at some point Coinbase will offer you a product to buy that's like $15 now. So, oh heck, it's $15. I'll put in a few $100s, a few $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
I'll convert some of my Litecoin to Ethereum Classic, some of my Ethereum to Ethereum Classic. This will happen in the next, 60 to 90 days, and then you have Ethereum Classic kind of as invited to the big boys table as part of the zeitgeist of crypto because Coinbase is adding it to it. So this is a coin that will be a real player going forward, and it's held this nice bullishness ever since that announcement from Coinbase, a little bit ago, a couple weeks ago or so, and we're
Mm-hmm.
still finding this continued load up, if you will, accumulation of Ethereum Classic, I think, in the chart.
Oh, okay. So is that the FA or was that the TA? Was that the T?
That's the FA into the TA.
I like it. I like it. I like the T and the A. So we have we have technical analysis, brother. We have kind of a we have kind of a double top here, don't we? And we kind of have a double top here. But it's clearly this is really notable volume cluster to me.
I see
There's
that, and I see you. Yep.
and okay, and we have some like legit volume. I'm sorry, we have some legitimate accumulation here. So we're seeing that bears clearly are in control. We're seeing excellent follow up from this candle, which you noted was the announcement candle.
Yeah.
We did have one rejection here. Will we have another rejection, or will we break through it and kind of keep pushing up? Pushing up. That's what we're gonna have to watch. But clearly, we could get an easy signal from how the price responds to this level.
Yeah, I mean, we were firmly rejected at that price level, as
Mm-hmm.
your line suggests.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember putting a tweet out that, wow, we're back to a place where we've been. And we also poked our head up on the RSI above that 70 area. And sure enough, firm rejection. But then we had a couple down wicks there. We're kind of putting in a bull pennant, It's kind of a bull pennant still on the daily chart. I mean,
Sure, why not?
until proven otherwise, this is holding. We have good support below. We can test the middle Bollinger, which we haven't yet for support.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a nice bounce area there if you want some more consolidation,
Mm-hmm.
and especially a break of your resistance line that's held firm
Mm-hmm.
would be significant.
I'd want to see a pullback hold this level,
Mm-hmm.
which was the peak, the candle close peak of that initial thrust.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to do these couple real quick. Just people are asking for them. I'll just give just a quick gut read. Just can't leave people unhappy here. For Cola ZRX, I have a bunch of scribbles here. Big Chonis and I have discussed this channel. In theory, this may test the kind of lower trend line here. So I think anything, it depends on how you draw it. If you draw it here, we're close to the lower trend line. I know Big Chonis has his lower trend line around like 8.5, 9K.
Yeah, I'm just counting that middle wick as part of my trend line there.
Mm-hmm.
I know, some people really just want to do the body. The reason the wick I feel is important is because on the daily, it can be accounted for. If it's a lower time frame wick, I would almost account it for kind of a stop loss,
Mm-hmm.
suck out kind of pump or dump. But because it happened on the daily, I do find that support as
Mm-hmm.
significant. And as you said, we're closing in on that historic support area.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're kind of arguing is 10,000 the area to hold.
Mm-hmm.
It could
Psychologically.
be psychologically, it is very important, but it could go even a little lower, 15, 20% lower than that. And that would be kind of coinciding with price history, historic area,
Mm-hmm.
786 fib, and that longer term trend line bounce.
But we
So
both agree. We're talking about a higher low, right?
yeah, and that's important. And you have to acknowledge as well that Ethereum Classic stole the girlfriend
Yeah.
from ZRX, right?
Yeah. I still
Coinbase.
haven't forgiven you for that.
I know it's vengeful. Like everybody thought that the prom queen was or the prom king was kind of pick ZRX, and it picked Ethereum Classic. So
Mm-hmm.
ZRX is kind of feeling heartbroken right now, and I think a lot of that pump, unfortunately, a lot of that bullish momentum we saw in ZRX through the spring was on the anticipation that it could be the next addition to Coinbase, and when it was not, you're kind of seeing that dry out.
All right, let's wrap this up quickly. Kevin Flint, ICX, MAL, Pranith. ICX is trying to form a bottom, but not really that successful yet. Although, Big Chonis, we do once again have a series of bullish haramis. Are you noting that? Where you have the previous
Yeah.
red candles are pregnant with these small doji bodies, these small candle bodies. Yeah.
Are they pregnant or are they just kind of pregnant?
No, they're pretty much pregnant. I mean, harami is the Japanese term for which that comes. Here we go. So it's a Japanese term. Basically means pregnant. So basically, the big red candle is pregnant with the small white candle, and it's a sign of decreasing bear momentum. And it's pretty easy to see. Just
Yeah, I mean,
when
it
you
broke the
eye
lower
it.
Bollinger on the daily there, so it was
Yeah.
oversold as it is.
Yep.
Can you zoom out a little bit there? I noticed something when you had the chart up originally. You see how it when it debuted, it just kind of went parabolic, like instantly, like way back in the beginning
Yeah.
of its birth. So even though we're testing this current Sapporo historic support line,
Sabro. Yep.
because it came up so quick, so fast on those very first youthful candles way back in the day there. If we break here, it could basically find itself in a rediscovery area where the market itself is trying to find the true value of ICX.
Wow, we did have the lower candle close though, Big Jonas. We lost the higher
Mm.
low. You see that, but barely.
Mm-hmm.
See how we closed below that trend line? We had this beautiful hammer. You see where we closed? We actually had the slightly lower close. This would have been textbook if you had the double harami, but you were able to hold that low.
We do have a bullish stock cross too.
Yeah, you do have the stock cross. And then just the last one is Ven for Nick. VEN. Okay. Yeah, it looks like a bear's continuation pattern to me, personally. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it's although it's kind of rising wedges. It's
What,
almost bullish.
inside like a 4 hour?
It's like
Really?
it's a rising wedge. It's hitting that resistance around like 44,000 area,
Uh-huh.
43.6.
You don't see bear
Um,
pennant? Bear pennant?
I
Right
almost
here. Look at
don't. I
that bear
kind of,
pennant.
it's coming off. It's coming off a draw out, and there's a nice wick there, a couple candles back, that I like the hold. I kind of see this as bullish if
W
we can
bottom?
break above 4,300.
Maybe a W?
Maybe a slight Adam and Eve, or
Yeah,
or
Adam and
almost an
Steve.
Adam and Steve. Great minds. So yeah, and even the 4 hour clear W on the RSI there, that's
Yeah,
pretty definitive, right? I mean, that's a
yeah.
W if I've ever seen
So
one,
you're
right?
bullish and I'm bearish. Sorry. Okay, Adrian, sorry. Q-Tim. I don't want to forget you. 'Cause I did see that. Q-Tim for Adrian JJ. Am I missing Q-Tim? Here we go. My alphabet skills are off. Um, it's kind of not bad. What do you think? I mean, it had this nice impulse move. It broke its downtrend. Clearly, you broke middle Bollinger, which you couldn't break, right? Oh, look at that. Boom. This is so textbook. Look, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rejection points. Break it, and then it was support. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's almost a bottom diamond.
Diamond.
Wide in the middle and tight on the
Where are
ends.
my diamond? Here we go.
Yeah,
Like this.
yeah, I'm seeing a little of that. A
Uh,
little of it.
I mean, sure. I've never really figured out how do I like to use this pattern, and how much you should take liberty with kind of how it forms. I really just kind of see a bullish consolidation pattern, almost a
Yeah,
symmetrical triangle. This
yeah,
could be kind of a symmetrical triangle, right?
yeah. Even if you bounce off the middle Bollinger, you're still in a bullish uptrend.
Yeah, so clearly any pullback should be tested here against the middle Bollinger. The price is adhering quite close to it. And so, all right, let's go to Bitcoin. Oh, your text is coming through, big buddy. Bitcoin. So what do you think? I'll let you go into Bitcoin here, and then I'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Listen, I mean, there is a bullish case for 6,400 still, for 6,500 still. It can take a couple days. I feel that as we end the month over the next like three days, 72 hours,
Mm-hmm.
the bulls are going to want to make that monthly bottom wick as good looking as they possibly can. Right now, it's decent, and they want it to exist. So I feel we're going to go into July with somewhat of a wick on the monthly, and I think July will have to establish its own wick, and therefore we will break 6,000 and play around in the 5,000 area for some time in July. I don't feel like, almost feels like we've been in this 6,000s for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I feel the shock and awe of being in the 5,000 range in Bitcoin for days on end will begin to entice buyers. And from just a technical standpoint of being oversold and an equilibrium standpoint about a chart can be a living, breathing organism. And when it's too far one way or the other, it does correct, regardless of, FUD and some guy on CNBC telling you to buy, buy, buy.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, technically speaking, there are supports, and the sky is not falling.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I see a continued sideways price action over the next few days until we get into July, and then July is going to be a very interesting month in Bitcoin and in crypto in general.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty solid, but I don't know how anyone can project into July. I mean, it's not even we got like a week left in June,
We got
and
3 days left in June, so it's not
uh,
that long. You think
look,
we're going to end this week
hmm
in July, so
yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
start quick.
but like I just don't. It's just against my style. I know you like Elliott waves, but it's just so weird to me when I hear people saying July's gonna be this, July's gonna be that.
Well,
Like
it's
I
more
don't
on the
get it.
candle appearance. Like
Hmm.
you're a candlestick guy. So
Hmm.
if you look at the June candlestick, it's very bearish.
Okay,
But there's a nice little wick beginning to build in the June candlestick. So
lower
maybe
wick.
you can kind of build off of that little wick there, that nice support off the
Hmm.
Bollinger
Hmm.
for some time. Because the Bollinger on the middle, on the monthly, has clearly held, that can tell me that there is some stability right now. We're seeing volume drop off, we're seeing selling drop off, but we're seeing buying still drop off, and the supply out there seems to be flooded. There's enough Bitcoin to go around. If you want to buy it, you can buy it.
Hmm.
I was testing this with some alts, just basically putting in some low bids and kind of seeing if they filled. And after a few hours, they all filled. So,
Really? Oh,
yeah.
let's tell everyone. Let's share your spreadsheet. Let's see what's.
Well,
I
it's more of a statement about,
yeah.
the exchanges want to take your money. They need their fees, no matter how
Hmm.
small they are. So
Okay.
if you're a buyer at a relatively reasonable price, they're probably going to fill you your order. That basically tells me that there's no money out there. There's not a lot of money out there.
Are you
So
are you no?
until there's a
Hmm.
moment of truth, a moment of, oh my God, I can't believe what's happening to the price action, or oh my God, I can't believe this feels like a good deal, that's when you're going to see a market turnaround. And we're getting close to that, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, I think you're making a great point. I think what's interesting to me is that this we are potentially going to have the fourth month now in a row where you have a smaller candle body,
Mm.
which is suggesting a reduction in the prior force, Big Jonas. So, in theory, if you're a bull, you'd want to see July in just like a tight range, like a small candle body to flatten out. You'd want to maybe even and just form a low here. So I think I'm just gonna not go to the monthly, just kind of wrap up real quick on the 4-hour chart. So I think in theory we could potentially be looking at an inverted head and shoulders, but we don't know until we see the neckline challenged. And there's a couple ways to draw the neckline. I can draw it this way. On the candle close, I could draw it this way. You know, So really, it kind of depends on how you want to play it. So just keep an eye on that, folks. I just want to thank everyone for joining us. And I want to let you folks know that if you please do check out my friend here on Twitter, at Big Chonis. He's doing a lot of videos lately. I know he takes a lot of pride in them. And I know it's nice to kind of hear a voice and see, and kind of see how he's reading the chart and how he goes through it. So I really highly recommend you check him out on Twitter at Big Chonis. You can find me on Twitter at Big Cheds. Just as a reminder, we are not advisors. We're just a couple of friends who like to talk crypto, and we enjoy sharing that conversation with you. I guess sometimes I interrupt a little bit too much. I apologize for that. But all in all, I think we have a lot of fun. Just as a quick little bit of news, a little bit of housekeeping, as they say, we now have a monthly option for Bitcoin Live. Bitcoin Live, a project I am honored to be part of. It's basically the best in class educational platform for crypto. You're getting access to a lot of unique and premier content from some great teachers, and it's kind of a community atmosphere. We do alerts, we have discussions, and there's a lot of fun. Feel free to check out the webinars from each of the analysts, each of the teachers, talking about why we're involved in the project. And feel free to reach out to me with any questions. This is just kind of a sense of, you can see what some of the articles are that we put up, the blog posts, and it's something, like I said, I take a lot of pride in being involved in. So please do go ahead and check that out. And other than that, I'm going to wish you guys a wonderful day, and we will talk again soon. Take care.